think Morehouse will still move forward in their plans to move Division One. I don't think there's any reason for Morehouse to halt plans based on the coach. You get come on. If you don't like them, you can get rid of them. You guys have done that before. But I think that in looking at the grand scheme of things for Morehouse and the plan that they have put out, this $500 million plan to renovate the stadium, renovate BT Harvey, actually move it over, add new buildings, and we'll talk about this more on the Wednesday show. We'll show the whole video. Add buildings, add student centers, all types of things in Morehouse. Build a new athletic complex. These things are all pointing to Morehouse is going to the MEAC. I don't think there's anything that would stop Morehouse from going to the MEAC because, for one, the MEAC needs Morehouse. We're looking at a MEAC here that has 6 football playing schools, right? And I'm going to do some quick math for you guys. We got 6 football playing schools. And of those 6 football playing schools, when we play a season, you're going to have 5 games because you're going to be one of the member institutions, right? You're going to have 5 games. Because the NCAA FCS schedule has now increased for FCS up 1 game, it's now up to 12 games. You'll have 7 non-conference games. 7. So, hear me out. This whole Morehouse to the MEAC move, everybody's, oh man, but the East Coast schools, they go to play Howard every year. But aside from the East Coast schools, you can somewhat pod yourself if you're Morehouse. You're in a great position now to pod yourself. You can pod yourself within the South. You actually have 2 other schools that are looking to leave and go Division One. Clark Atlanta seems to be interested, and Tuskegee also seems to be interested. So, if you go, okay, the MEAC, we have 6 teams, we have five game schedule. 5 games are going to be on the East Coast in the schedule. But around 6 or 7 games can be down south because we can choose them, right? So say Morehouse goes by themselves. The first 5 games, you put those first 5 games in the, you go play Kennesaw. Let's go play Jackson State. Let's go play Bethune-Cookman. Let's go play McNeese, and let's go play Southeastern Louisiana. And now let's start our MEAC schedule. Now let's begin to travel up east. Because previous to that, those 5 games, 6 games, 7 games, they're your choice. The MEAC ain't that big. The same way I'm saying the MEAC needs Morehouse. I don't necessarily feel like Morehouse needs the MEAC, but I think the Morehouse can use the MEAC. Right? And looking at institution status and everything like that, you want to get into that Black Ivy League. With the Black Ivy League, I got listed up here. Morehouse, Tuskegee, Clark Atlanta, Hampton, Fisk, Spelman. If I'm leaving somebody out, please excuse me, man. Excuse me. But, and look at the Black Ivy League. That would be my idea of the MEAC South. Right? People want to talk about movement, realignment, how things shake and move. I think that if the MEAC South could be Morehouse, Tuskegee, Clark Atlanta, Hampton, and special guest, North Carolina A&T, I think we got a MEAC South right there. I think we got a MEAC South. We're talking Hampton in Virginia. We're talking North Carolina A&T in North Carolina. We're talking 2 Atlanta schools, 2 Georgia schools, Morehouse and Clark, and then a school right next to them, Tuskegee, down in Alabama. You add those guys together, I think that makes up your MEAC South. I think that gives you a chance to increase the profile of the MEAC. You also add more private schools, even if North Carolina A&T is a public school, you add more private schools to the mix, which is usually a good thing when it comes to football and funding. So I think all things point to go if you look at a Black Ivy League situation. Now, whether the MEAC is trying to make this happen or not, I don't know. I mean, we've all seen their plan. We've seen their long-standing plan, and it really doesn't seem to be as strong and tightly sealed as we would want it to be. Seeing as though the MEAC is on the brink of extinction. So Morehouse, what I would say is this. Continue your plans, right? Coaching search aside, continue your plans. Don't change too much. But at the end of the day, I think that Morehouse is going to need a couple of other teams from the SIAC to move with them if they want to make this successful transition into the MEAC. I think there's no way you get to the MEAC solo. I think there's ways maybe for a year or 2, but I think you're gonna at the end of the day you're gonna need Tuskegee, you're gonna need Clark, you're gonna need the Hamptons to also move with you. One team in Atlanta and the rest of the teams on the East Coast does not work. As much money as you got, you're gonna run through it. So there's an opening for it. Got a ton of non-conference games to add, and you can make that schedule feasible. But I would encourage Morehouse, and I'm sure the presidents talk. Presidents always talk. I'm sure Dr. Thomas is talking. He's a boss. I ain't gonna lie. Shout out to Dr. Thomas Morehouse. He's a guy. I'm sure he's talking to guys, sticking and moving. Because at the end of the day, I think this needs to be more than just one team. My boy Damon's in the comments down here. Yes, the MEAC South. You see it. You're seeing it, Dame. You're seeing it. The MEAC South, right? Would be Hampton, Morehouse, Tuskegee, Hampton. He's saying South Carolina State and North Carolina Central to the MEAC South. That would be dope. And the MEAC North would be Norfolk State, Howard, Delaware State, Morgan, possibly Virginia State. I didn't bring up Virginia State because I've heard that they have an invitation from the MEAC that's been sitting there for like 2 years, and they just like, I don't want to touch it. So it's a reason. It's for sure a reason. Let's keep it going though, man. So from this,